Good evening, everyone. With the heartbreak growing with each person we lose, now more than 70,000 in this country, there is a new ray of hope we're watching closely this evening, this one on the fast track. In an NBC News exclusive, we take you inside the clinical trials getting underway here in New York of a revolutionary coronavirus vaccine that could be rolled out in months, as an array of dire projections underscore just how short time is in the hunt for a magic bullet. We've got it all covered tonight, starting off with Tom Costello.
In the urgent push to beat back a deadly pathogen, researchers at NYU have now started clinical trials on a never-before-tried genetic vaccine candidate developed by Pfizer along with a German partner. Rather than trying to manipulate the live virus itself, this vaccine attempts to reprogram the virus's genetic code. Melissa Hankinen, whose husband is a doctor at NYU, is among the first 12 healthy Americans to receive the injection.
So many people are being affected by this pandemic, and I figured it would be a great thing to do to help during an unprecedented time.
Here's what makes this unique. The vaccine carries the genetic code known as messenger RNA that instructs the cells to make the proteins associated with the coronavirus, but without making someone sick. The hope is that the immune system then kicks in to create the antibodies to fight off COVID-19. And Pfizer has 4 genetic vaccine candidates. Dr. Mark Mulligan is running the NYU trial.
It really is a natural thing because this messenger RNA is something the body produces on its own normally. So it's kind of a new thing, but it's really not anything that's too different than what the body does for itself.
Because it's natural, it's also believed to be safe. But experts point out it's still experimental and vaccines normally take years to develop.
We don't yet have a licensed vaccine for RNA or DNA vaccines because in the past they've worked very well in laboratory animals, but those immune responses have not translated into good human immune responses.
Worldwide, there are now roughly 100 vaccine candidates under review. Researchers at Pfizer believe this genetic code vaccine could be available as soon as September.
It is probably the fastest way of having a vaccine available to stem this pandemic.
Are you more optimistic about this type of vaccine compared to a typical vaccine that we've seen in the past?
I am optimistic, but the data will speak for themselves, Tom. This is the nice thing about science. You don't have to have faith or belief. The answer will come from the investigations that we do.
Melissa Hankinen, a yoga instructor, went home hours after receiving the first shot on Monday.
How are you feeling?
I feel fine. My arm's just a little sore. I don't have any headaches. I feel like myself.
All right, Tom joins me now. Tom, Pfizer's not the only company working on a vaccine like this, right?
No, that's right. Moderna, Inovio, and CanSino are also involved in this kind of research. Importantly, never before has a genetically altered vaccine made its way to market. This is cutting-edge stuff. But Pfizer believes it could have a vaccine within 4 months. Lester.
All right. Tom Costello, exciting news. Thank you. We're seeing more of the ripple effect tonight on the food industry. Meat supplies down, prices going up, and one of the country's best-known fast food chains now out of beef in some of its restaurants. We get details now from NBC's Gabe Gutierrez.
Tonight at some Wendy's restaurants and across social media, a burning question.
Where's the beef?
The fast food giant is the latest company hit hard by the pandemic because of its reliance on fresh beef.
Out of patties?
Yeah. It's yanking burgers off the menu in some locations in many states across the country. One analyst estimates nearly a fifth of the chain's restaurants are out of beef.
It's a little crazy. That's the time we're living in now.
Wendy says we expect this to be temporary, but it comes after some grocery chains limited meat purchases. Nationwide, many meat and poultry plants have temporarily shut down after thousands of workers contracted coronavirus. There have been confirmed cases at 120 facilities in Pennsylvania alone. Across the country, meat prices are now up as much as 25%.
It's up significantly in this last few weeks. It's something we're watching daily.
Customers at this 88-year-old butcher shop in New York are already noticing.
This Italian sausage has gone up about 20% in the past week.
Yeah.
Owner Robert Esposito says he's never seen a price hike this sudden.
I had to raise my prices last week,
as I think many stores have. And I think it's going to even keep on going higher within the next couple of weeks. That's what I'm told.
Retail demand for Tyson's beef has jumped by at least 30%, but the company expects overall sales to drop because of lost business in the restaurant industry. The battered supply chain is a monumental blow to farmers. Al Van Beek in Iowa says he has nowhere to ship his hogs.
How much longer will your farm be able to survive?
Well, I can tell you that if we keep going at the rate we're going, we're looking at months, not years.
The chief executive of Tyson, the country's largest meat supplier, says that this is the most severe crisis he's seen. Experts warn customers that they should expect higher meat prices for months. Lester?
All right, Gabe Gutierrez tonight. Thank you. And this evening, there are growing concerns about children with COVID-19 suffering from that rare but serious heart complication. There's also new research suggesting kids can spread the virus. Both unnerving headlines for parents. And NBC's Kristen Dahlgren is putting facts over fear.
Today, at least 15 more confirmed cases in New York City as the health department warns even more children could be affected by the rare complication called pediatric multisystem inflammatory syndrome, believed to be linked to COVID-19. It took less than a week for Jaden Hardawar to go from an active 8-year-old to a ventilator after going into cardiac arrest.
I quickly looked over at his face and I saw his lips are all blue.
Jaden was rushed to the hospital and later tested positive for COVID-19 antibodies. In late April, he had a fever and diarrhea, but his pediatrician and parents thought he would bounce back. No one in the house had been diagnosed with the virus.
We have all been very strong and we've been practicing our social distancing, and we thought we were safe.
Now doctors who once thought children were largely spared by COVID-19 are reporting some children react with an inflammatory response similar to Kawasaki disease or toxic shock. Cases have been reported in Europe and in several states. Symptoms include a persistent fever, rash, red eyes, or an upset stomach.
We want parents to pay attention to when they see these symptoms to reach out to their doctors early.
2 new studies out of China and Germany now suggest children can spread the virus. And when schools are open, they can have 3 times the number of contacts as adults. A new study of 2,000 U.S. families by the National Institutes of Health hopes to learn more about how children transmit and are affected by the virus.
And that's definitely going to contribute to us having knowledge about whether we should reopen schools, summer camps.
Bye, Jay.
Jaden is now off the ventilator, but still unable to see his family in person. One of the smallest victims of what is now a growing concern. Kristen Dahlgren, NBC News, New York.
As more of the country reopens, legally or not, many Americans find themselves conflicted by need to get back to work, but also to stay safe as the virus numbers keep rising in many states. Miguel Almaguer tonight on A Nation Fractured.
With more than half our nation implementing plans on how to restart local economies, the confusing patchwork of who is open and how Americans feel about getting back to business depends on where you live. As pockets of protest grow louder to reopen the country, gyms in Washington, pubs in Maine, and salons in Texas are flouting mandates to stay closed. Sherry Baldridge owns a cafe in California.
I'm going to be homeless if I don't open my business back up.
Though some restaurants are busy, according to a new poll, 78% of Americans say they're uncomfortable going out to eat, while 56% say they are comfortable going to the grocery store. Most believe gyms, theaters, and barbershops should not yet be allowed to reopen.
Mankeys.
In Michigan, 77-year-old Carl Mankey says he has no choice.
I'm not trying to be a scuffler, I'm trying to make a living.
As retailers like Nordstrom prepare to go cashless, installing plexiglass and requiring masks, 67% of Americans say they are uncomfortable going to a clothing store. Starting Friday in California, more retailers can offer curbside pickup. But in big cities like Los Angeles, only restaurants can do that for the foreseeable future. Tonight, Amazon confirming a warehouse worker at their Staten Island fulfillment center has died from the coronavirus. The news comes as New York officials now report 1,700 previously undisclosed COVID deaths at nursing homes in the state. Meanwhile, in New York City, the mayor says don't expect a complete reopening until September. In Miami, after officials opened a popular park, they quickly issued over 7,000 face mask warnings, forcing a shutdown Monday. Meantime, in Washington state, outdoor recreational activities can now resume. A nation trying to get back to business, while polls show many Americans are hesitant to do exactly that. Miguel Almaguer, NBC News, Los Angeles.
This is Stephanie Gosk. The USNS Comfort has left. The field hospitals are no longer needed. In New York City, the numbers keep getting better. But look at what happened when the New York Times analyzed new cases in the rest of the country. It's a very different story. The former FDA commissioner sounding the alarm on Today.
There's about 20 states where cases are going up on a daily basis.
And then there is the new chilling projection from the University of Washington. Last month, researchers there predicted just over 60,000 COVID-19 deaths nationwide by August. Now they predict it could be more than double that.
This is mainly due to increase in mobility, premature relaxation of social distancing in places where the virus was still circulating at a high level.
Hotspots are popping up in the country's interior. Brown County, Wisconsin, has nearly 1,500 cases.
It just takes one person to have a pretty massive ripple effect in the community.
The worst hit places, often with large prisons or meat processing plants nearby, like in Fort Dodge, Iowa.
Do you think right now people are putting their lives in jeopardy because of their behavior?
Most definitely. And not just theirs.
19 people across Iowa died today, the highest number so far. Dr. Megan Srinivas, who treats COVID patients, is alarmed the state reopened Friday.
There were groups playing flag football. There were groups having gender reveal parties. It was as if coronavirus had never happened.
In Nobles County, Minnesota, more than 1,000 cases there, most of them traced to a pork processing plant that may be reopening as early as tomorrow.
There's no such thing as social distancing happening at all. So our local people are being hurt and struggling just to stay alive, only to have all kinds of people walking in freely and standing in lines of 10 plus people to check out at Walmart.
In Truesdale County, Tennessee, nearly 1,300 inmates and 50 staff tested positive at a prison. One inmate has died.
What I'm worried about happening would be people that have maybe been in contact with somebody and now they're not showing any symptoms, and then that could spread inside the community. So that's my biggest concern.
Behind all the numbers, people like Craig Allen Franken, 61 years old, who worked at a meatpacking plant in Iowa, a father, a grandfather, and a casualty in the pandemic spreading through the heartland. Stephanie Gosk, NBC News, New York.
Hey, NBC News viewers, thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Subscribe by clicking on that button down here and click on any of the videos over here to watch the latest interviews, show highlights, and digital exclusives. Thanks for watching.